actually get those plates, as yeah, the band's unsurprisingly not changed up. And if T1 are following their draft priority up until this point, it's going to be Ziggs, and it's going to be Smolder on the opposing end.
Whoa, you think they're going to pick Smolder? You think they're going to play Smolder again after these 3 games? Because Zekka's been popular. Oh, they're even going to give
A
Viper Jhin. That is a change. Last time they picked the Sedge, but Viper's been having such a great series on this pick, and they're confident with this. This is going to be somewhat reminiscent of that game 2 with the Nidalee Tristana coming in again.
So we already ran it kind of back, and then we're just doing that again. We're just
It's a different order.
Yeah, different order, and obviously I do expect there to be changes towards the second half of the draft. But so far, a lot of similarities again. And on blue side, I think you can get away with a lot more. But Owner, I do think, we were talking about it in the break as well, that even though his response wasn't great, a lot of that was a kind of a snowball effect from Keria not being able to execute the early laning phase well. But in the series, it is, without a shadow, without a peanut, has just been able to outperform. And even in the game, that T1-1, Owner's early objective control was good, but it wasn't R5 counterpick with a Sejuani. And the Cassante being banned away doesn't make me very excited, right? I would have much rather seen something on the counterpick territory. You can even go for the Cassante yourself. T1 obviously likes to play a lot more aggressive. We've seen what they've done in the series thus far. The Camille, the Zeri in last game. Leona, I think, is the no-brainer here, but they are going to maybe save the counterpick for Delight, as there's a lot of flex that can happen with
the
this.
Flex top support pick.
Yeah, we don't really know where it's going.
Yeah,
like,
not fully giving away information here. We've seen the Poppy support come out.
It's probably support.
Value.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But also, like, it could be a situation where you're expecting Leona to come out the other side. You have the W to block the Leona. You have the ult to disengage, and they'll go for the Corki top. I don't like this, because now your only setup is this Leona, and there's a Poppy and a Sejuani to run interrupt. It's going to be counterpick into this, and the setup just isn't there. So T1 are kind of hoping that Hunter Esports just stand there and let them poke them.
It's consistent with the T1 game plan, which is try to win lane and then win.
Nasus.
But the Nasus shouldn't really come as a surprise. And I, again, want to reiterate, the one game that T1 won was off of the back of an absolute hero play. That game could have very well gone to Hanwha. So T1 gonna try it here again, but
Swirls. The team that goes into the LCK finals here for summer. So a lot on the line between these two teams, and we're feeling like Humble Esports got a big draft gap. We'll see what the gameplay looks like, though, as we hop into the rift for game number 4.
하나 생명! 하나, 둘, 셋!
Game number 4 begins with Owner poking Peanut out. And this is what you want to do if you're going to pick the Nidalee blind, expecting Sejuani. You need to put on some pressure and you need to be useful.
Yeah, bit of trading happening. T1 really trying to apply the pressure early on. And I think they've, you know, it's so far been 6 games in playoffs of Peanut really running rampage over Owner. And especially when you have Nidalee and Sejuani again, I think Owner really wants to apply as much pressure as possible. But they only really got vision down here, and that ward is going to be swept out by Delight. So denying a bit of information there. But they do have a ward on the blue buff, so they should have an idea of where Peanut is generally. But it looks like with Owner starting on the red, I mean, I guess he could start that bot side and then move over towards Peanut's blue and trying to find some pressure there. So like also now late to lane, so maybe T1 can capitalize that on a bit and try and get some push to help out the jungler.
We'll have to see. Owner is starting on the bottom half of the map. And this is, again, something we're always going to look to when you're picking Nidalee. You already highlighted it, Ox. So we are going in here, but just some trading back and forth. If you're Nidalee, the ideal lane to... Yeah. So when we go back all the way to level 1, it already didn't start off great. I think Faker canceling an auto as Zeka was moving in. But that's a very, very early forced TP. That's gonna have to come through, and we want to remind you that I think T1 are pretty reliant on doing well in the lanes, because if your lanes aren't pushing, this Nidalee doesn't get the freedom to play the way that she needs to. She needs to be able to invade, she needs to be able to pressure Owner because you're so much stronger in the 1v1. Also do note Owner actually going for phase rush, which I think into a matchup like the Nidalee can make a big difference.
See the way that Peanut's kind of walking around here. He doesn't go directly into his jungle. Given a little time. There's a ward on the blue buff. That might spot out Peanut, but yeah, Owner's just going for a clear. Faker's hopping forward, just hoping to do a little bit of harass and maybe hold the wave here. Zeka's like, well, okay, I will get some stacks, and I have TP and you don't, so I'm just going to take my stacks back and then TP back to lane.
It's actually so good for Zeka because he was low on mana, he wanted to recall anyway, and now he ends up getting a situation where he gets a reset and can TP. Faker was thinking of TPing with the wave frozen there, but he knows that Zeka's just going to come in and shove it in, so he's kind of trapped in a rough situation. Lane hasn't really been going stellar for Faker so far in this game, and this is one of the things with the champion like Smolder's. Sometimes you get these really strong scaling picks, and it's not just the fact that obviously Smolder's really strong late game, because he always has been, even when he wasn't showing up, but it's also like the power he has early as well. His early trades, his wave clear, is why he's so formidable, because you can't just stomp him into the ground. You know, we see picks like Kassadin for a good reason, but Smolder just still has a strong laning phase and is a monster late game.
Yeah, especially when you're going Grasp and you're also getting Grasp stacks. And meanwhile, Delight's here, he just flashes in, it's a free kill on a Faker, and now he's able to deny the entry from Owner. First blood will go over to Delight, which is the only good thing for T1, but Life Esports are eating good here in this early game.
And I'm pretty sure that they knew this as well. It felt like they were trying to set up a bait with Owner getting the heal off, but that was never going to be enough, right? The Ignite comes through, the heal very much mitigated, and this is a disastrous early start here. Only upside is that the kill goes to Delight. Ideally, you'd want to have wanted it on Zeka, but I think that alone not going to be the difference maker. Peanut, if Owner can lend a spear, could be something.
Oh.
Well, it seemed like he had a inkling.
He was watching his character, you know.
Yeah.
Very focused there. So he's down Flash, but he doesn't take a bad trade.
He upgrades to Hex Flash.
Exactly. But because he's healthy still, and because he has Delight coming, it means even though Owner's still there, he feels comfortable taking the camp. Just a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Last 0.5 second of the recall doesn't get cancelled, but once again, seen Delight be very active on the map, and we've seen a lot of this Jhin Ziggs this series, and it feels like it just gives Delight so much freedom.
Faker's gonna be rooted down. He's at least able to hop away, but I'm not sure he's getting away from this one. It looks like Life Esports do not want to overchase. But again, you're a Tristana in mid, already losing lane, and you still don't have TP.
And look at this, the wave is the wave is pushing away from you. You don't have teleport. Your back scanning cancelled. On my life, again, particularly the way that Delight is playing on the map, Viper is continuously able to not only have pressure in the lane, but also find so many of these setups with his W. It makes the early game so hard here for T1.
I think the consistent theme between last game and this one is that if you make any mistake against Life Esports, they will punish it so heavily. You know, Faker obviously took a bad early trade against Zeka, and now the whole team is making his life hell because he burnt TP early. And in the previous game, it was Carrier taking the bad trade, which meant Peanut was able to challenge Owner and just crush him in here. I think Faker, if you're going to go for this bait, you have to flash the headbutt stun. And obviously, you know, maybe he wanted to wait for Delight to get closer, but Delight is so decisive with the play, and Faker's just too slow.
And that really sets up this entire early game for Life Esports. We haven't looked too much at the top lane. Looks like Zeus is doing pretty well early on into the Nasus, which, I mean, it's Corki into melee, and the Wither can only do so much early on. He's just farming away his Doran. So that top lane not really having a big effect just yet, but maybe Zeus can get something going on the top side for T1, because that's really the one lane where things are going well for them. The bottom side is pretty even at this point, although I would say that Viper's had a bigger effect on the map and on bullying Faker in mid.
I was doing a little stack check. Doran at 60, Zeka at, I think, 50-something. So Delight is in the area. T1 have already taken the grubs. We'll see if Owner can actually find an angle for this invade. Carry on the
chronically, he always is in the area. I think we could just default to that being the standard state of the game. It's
always there.
It's not support Poppy, it's River Poppy. You know, inspired by the old River Shen, but he's just... I can't remember the last time I saw him bot lane, honestly.
Yeah, no, this really is some... This is specifically the handshake as well of Jin and Ziggs is like giving me dumb on 2020 flashbacks, right? When Barrel was just always off on the map, doing his own thing. T1, Keria hasn't been able to have the same impact that Delight has. Very similar to the impact that Peanut has had on average over the course of this series compared to Owner.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think Alma Life Esports, you know, they get these little wins early on, and they're just going to run with it. They're not going to overforce. Delight will continue to put on pressure, but it really forces T1 into an awkward spot where it's very difficult to make proactive plays when you don't really have a lot of control on the map, and Delight is everywhere. Like, if you try to make a play, Delight's there. And so you don't really have a lot of freedom to do much. You guys talked about the Jin into the Ziggs. I think they also talked about it on the space. Wadid, I think, mentioned it. Viper just consistently picking this up over and over, and just able to 1v1, and the Ziggs just really hasn't had much pressure in this entire series, I guess, outside of Game 2, where Gomo was able to push the top lane with it.
And, you know, they are now looking for something. Might find Keria here.
Delight is always there, and he's in bot this time around. Keria, he's got the Eclipse, but I don't know if he's got legs to stand on anymore. Down he'll go. And just a lack of vision, and now they leave Kuma alone in the bottom side. Alma Life Esports. Delight really trying to make a huge angle for himself early on in this one.
He's doing so much work, and I mean, one of the things with like Ziggs back in the day was people would pick him and be like, okay, now he supports free to roam. But when Viper just has more pressure in the matchup and Delight is getting more impact out of the roams, it's like you're not getting the value. And as you've heard me say many times before, if you're playing Ziggs, you should be getting plates. They're not getting plates. They got a Triss, they got a Nidalee. It's only a 500 gold lead, but being behind with these picks doesn't feel good. And T1 definitely not having a great start to this game already, and this is their blue side game. You know, the expectation, if they want to win this series, this should be the easier one. Game 5, when HLE have side select, that should be the hard one. And this one's already starting off with a bit of a struggle.
Gonna have to see them, at the very least, get the grubs. Might be able to chain those together. If you can get grubs into a Drake, start stacking early, maybe get in the second Drake, that could be something here for T1. But working from a gold deficit, playing into double stacking champions, a lot of laning difficulties this time around as we do see Keria. So I think very clearly knew that Delight was in there, but wasn't expecting Peanut to be in there, or the other way around, because the Eclipse was basically immediate, predictive, but it doesn't really matter when Viper can just set up and Peanut can just get the passive off.
The CC layering was good, and by the time the CC ended, Keria was like, if I flash, they're just going to flash after me.
And he would have died.
And both Peanut and Delight have Hex Flash as well, so, you know, what are you going to really do about that situation?
Yep, absolutely. And so just kind of accepts his fate. Guma's fine because he can clear waves still. But, you know, the Ziggs feels good in terms of when he's behind, he can clear waves and he stays safe in that way. But again, it's not the proactive Ziggs that we have looked for. And now we're going to open up here on a Zeus. Really on the angle there, Zeus. Not much room to go for. He's going to try to flash away, and there's not enough stuns coming in. Here's Delight again. He's everywhere. And he'll take a bunch of damage as well. So now maybe an angle for T1 to go for these grubs.
Actually, it's not looking that bad here. Peanut holds onto the ultimate. I think could have used it, but maybe wasn't sure whether they had the damage. That's no Viper ult, so that should be 6 grubs for T1. Which is a very, very necessary dub in their column.
4 grubs?
Is still there. Just 4 is already
5?
decent. I think 5 you can just take and peace out, which it looks like that's what they're doing, because they obviously don't have Zeus really in this equation, so they don't want to overstep.
Yeah, I mean, even though you get the second Void Grub, the difference in the burn, obviously, between 5 and 6 isn't that big. They'll still shred towers. Now HLE moving towards the Dragon, and with it being Ocean then Chemtech, which, in my opinion, 2 of the weakest souls.
Viper in a very awkward spot in the top lane. That's a big one to the face, and Viper just walks it off, but at the same time, I mean, he's top. Now, the TP was used by Zeus, so he can't really get to this fight either. Zeka just walks that one off.
Yeah, Keria trying to find an angle to Zeka, but I think it's big that T1 try and contest this Dragon, because if you give 2 over to HLE and a strong soul, you're a mistake away from being in a really uncomfortable position given over soul points. So Owner is trying to set up on this now. HLE hovering around.
I mean, they don't have Viper yet, so it doesn't really feel like they can fight. The top laner champions don't have their teleports at the moment, so T1 just trying to get this one down and in their column. Faker's going to take the aggro, which actually resets the Dragon a little bit. And T1 feeling the pressure now. Viper, here comes the helicopter trying to get somebody out of this one. It will be Carrier that is sent flying, and they say thank you for the leash. They'll take the Dragon, and it's Mountain Soul up next. Humalife Esports basically run away with a free objective.
And Mountain Soul as well, especially when you have poke champions, Bears champions like Corki, Nidalee, and the Ziggs, and you have these mega tanks on the side of HLE. They get Mountain Soul, the game's cooked.
Hey, on the flip side, I know we have, and I'm just going to ignore the smolder for this, but, you know, Jin's going to struggle into...
Devil's advocate.
I need to do something, man. I think that right now, it does feel like the situation for T1, obviously, not looking too hot. Again, I think that one of the big things that I'm worried about is we haven't actually seen Doran join a fight yet. If this Nessus that I imagine at this point is sitting at like, what, 150, 200 stacks?
All right, trying to get on top of the Poppy. That's pretty brave, but they have enough damage with the Nidalee just to follow up. But Delight is holding, waiting. He's still got his flash, and he really wants to use it. He is, and then he just dies anyway. I really liked how he was holding it and not using it, and then he used it.
Kept holding it.
And then I really didn't like that part. Okay, nice dodge for Zeus, but he doesn't have his flash, and yeah, he's pretty dead. 1Q will get the job done, so Humalife Esports at least are able to trade it back.
Okay, Delight, we got to give you some flack for that one, because that was...
questionable.
That was definitely questionable. There was a counterplay on the opposite end of the map for Hanwha, but Faker getting a kill is definitely huge. This Tristana was the big win condition that they relied upon in the previous game.
And the turrets.
And with 5 grubs, this is going to go down very quick. Should be able to get first turbo as well. Yes, Nessus pushes fast, but not as fast as a Tristana with 5.
I think the problem is, though, is that HLE trade towers, but also get Herald. So now T1 might feel like they need to get more in this situation, but Delight is here. Protect Zeka. Zeka has tons of wave clear, so all in all, I think HLE happy with that trade, with how it pans out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it does feel like a nice trade, but we'll take...
Because Carrier, like, RE's out of vision, but the flash, definitely questionable at the end. But here, it's so funny because Zeus obviously dodges Zill, which is great, but the amount of tower hits that a Sejuani Nasus can tank with Locket as well, they could be under that tower for like, 20 seconds and keep going.
I thought you were going to say 20 minutes. I would also agree with that.
Yeah, probably valid.
Yeah, it's a little bit of juggling, but they'll be fine. Do see T1 still making moves on the map. Not feeling like the third game, which was, again, just a complete and utter blowout. But there's still a lot of the things that we've seen of Hanwha. Zeka just happily stacking. Doran also picked up a kill. For T1, again, these dragons, I think, you can't afford to give a single one up. If you ever get at soul point threat, it's going to be really hard to play out. You need to be sure about your engagement, and this is where I think the Poppy really plays a big part. Because if you mess up an engage, like between Wither, Flap, the ultimate from Viper, you're just never getting out. Your first call needs to be the right one. 260 stacks now for Doran, so inside is going to be a menace. There's that Herald you were talking about, Ox.
Yeah, won't be able to get the tower, but just put some pressure down. I'm not sure about this. I feel like mid would have been better, but maybe they just thought they wouldn't find a window there. Now they are looking for Doran. Yeah,
he's kind of getting baited into this one, and Faker just going to hop away. Doran now flashes into the T1 jungle. Zeke's even trying to get on in there. Doran 1Q away and nearly takes off Zeus's head as, yeah, he will go down to the explosive shot, but that got a little bit spicy.
But, Zeus was just top lane, where the Herald went. So he TPs for the kill, but they give up the tier 2 and give the gold to Smolder. So, and also, it's over a minute till Dragon. Doran's going to be alive. I understand you want to do something proactive, but that was just a negative play for T1.
Yeah, and also Zeus TP'd and Doran didn't, so Doran can just TP back in. As we take another look here, obviously, if you're Doran, you're gonna take this if you think you're in an isolated situation, because your Nast is into an AD carry.
But you also look at the minimap, and like Sejuani and Smolder backed away, and then they see the TP, and they're like, okay, well, I guess you can see the ult come out with the Smolder, like, well, I know what I'm doing. And Doran nearly getting the kill, and then trading flashes means that there's not even like a flash advantage gained from this. So yeah, I think HLE very happy with that trade. And now 10 seconds until that dragon, the all-important soul point. It is control in favor of T1, but they really want to make sure that HLE can't get close. And remember, the Poppy is such a spanner when it comes to setting up these dragons, on the fact you can just knock someone, particularly the jungler, away.
Gonna have to land a lot of poke. T1, this is a must-get for them. If Almalife gets soul point of a Mountain Soul into this poke composition, they're gonna be in deep trouble.
Well, both the teams are going to fight for it. Doran's taking the long way around. He doesn't have his flash anymore, but here comes the Delight. Oh, it's not going to hit anything, as it's like he was going to be pushed away from that one. So the Drake does go over to their side. There's the clear from the Ziggs, and all of a sudden, T1 get the Drake. They don't lose a turret, and nothing else much happens. Feels pretty good for T1.
Yeah, really well played. Good poke landed. They had the setup first. They didn't get hit by the Poppy ult. You know, Guma was ready with the interrupt, but was out of range. And
is that a satchable tower?
Oh, it might just be.
Yeah, we're gonna see another ult try to clear the way, but yeah, that is a satchable tower. Down it goes, and Guma is able to take it down.
And you know what else? He's building Leandries, which is completely the right call into this bulky front line, but he's been very big on the Horizon focus. Leandries Ziggs will do a lot of damage here, and you know, things were a bit doom and gloom for T1, but they navigated that passage of play from the starting up the dragon until taking that tower perfectly. Considering, you know, the trade down, losing top tier 2, they managed to find a good bounce back and really instill some hope over this game.
Yeah, as a T1 predictor, obviously, I have at no point in this game doubted them. So I feel like this is all going according to plan, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. Imagine how tanky Leona's going to be with 4 mountain dragons.
You know, if you don't have any tanks, just get Mountain Soul, 4 Mountain Dragons, and everyone's a tank. Woo! When everyone's a tank, nobody is.
No, Ox, we had the thing. Didn't need to take it further.
Well, now that we got that out of the way, I do think, you know, T1 had the 1 Drake, and we'll see if they'll get any more. I'm not so sure. I mean, it was a nice setup on that first one, but it certainly feels like a close game, and I think that Almalife will try to fight harder over the next ones. And the turn's going to go down here probably, but it looks like Faker's looking to trade in top side with
going to take
TP
another wave.
Well.
They might look for an inner if Almalife overstays towards bot side.
They get it. They understand. But yeah, I just think this is why Ziggs is so good in these cross maps, because he's so good at taking towers.
They're beginning to believe.
We're watching them learn Ziggs in real time, guys.
They're doing it. But yeah, so they deny the push on the bot side, slow it down. I don't think they're going to be able to pressure more on the top side, but they're doing a good job of just pushing the pace of the game.
Now, there is a Smolder still in this game. Zeka, this time around, hasn't really been the main character the way that he was in some of the previous games, but is sitting at about 170 right now. Should be able to get towards that. And this is obviously the luxury that Almalife bought them as well. They do not need to care about this next dragon. They can play either towards Baron if T1, overcommits towards the objective. They can go for mid push. They can try and get the bot side inner. So there's a lot of objectives for them that they can choose to go towards. Whereas T1, I think, are still prized into getting these objectives. Faker in a side lane, though, I do think is a big problem, because we haven't talked about Doran as much. Is still sitting at almost 400 stacks, and I think should be fine against the Tristana, but once he finishes Mortal Reminder, I actually think it's going to be hard for Doran, because he hasn't really been put in a position in this game where, sometimes we see the Nessus get a bunch of kills, get a lot of turret gold. This time around, not so much.
I mean, even though he's an infinite stacking champion, this champion always feels strongest in the mid game when he's too durable. It'll get to the point where he's going to get shredded, and also, it's really hard for him to stay on targets. Like, if he withers anyone, apart from carrier, which you don't really want to be withering carrier, but they can just create space quite easily. You have the buster shot, you have the satchel, and as a result, it's going to be hard for him to stick onto targets unless he's got a flank, and you will just get shredded. We get some big item spikes coming in here as well. The Andrews was finished, Baguma, Zeus has his mana immune completed. So T1 definitely feeling like they have some spikes to play around. Ona is setting up around the Baron, but we have a minute until that next Mountain Dragon. And thank you for highlighting there was 420 stacks for the Nasus. So getting there.
Yeah, he's got a lot. Zeka feels like not as fast as we saw in Game 3. Viper just kind of running away from everything, but he's going to get satcheled into the wall and has to flash away. Already cleansed the solar flare, and that's right before this dragon is about to spawn in 30 seconds.
The poke is landing, and Humble Life, they might be able to hold on to this mid turret. Do have a lot of ranged wave clear, but it looks like 25 seconds on the clock. Doran, he can obviously make it, is already on his way. Zeka has TP, but no sums on Viper. That's quite big, and Peanut has the back as well. We'll see TP's coming in. I think Humble Life still want to try and contest this. Still 10 seconds towards the Drake. It would be a really big win for T1 if they can get this.
Yeah, Doran TPing in here to try and defend the tower. It just takes some poke for it.
Yeah, he is Nasus. He'll be able to heal up a bit. But yeah, very nice setup here for T1, but they don't know about this ward. So maybe they're going to have an inkling now that it is there. T1 trying to hang around. They will clear that out and really want to take down the second dragon, but they're being very careful about it.
And it's just so hard to approach, and they're taking so much damage anytime anyone steps up.
Faker getting withered and taking a bunch of poke, and now Carrier's got to flash away. Not the cleanest setup around this one, and now Humble Life Esports are going to take over control of this very important brush.
Bot Wave is knocking on the doors, but doesn't look like Humble Life is really going to care. They want to secure this dragon. Zeka is off on his own, but I don't think T1 knows about it. Now they will.
I mean, they're going to spot him coming on in. Zeka, just kind of an awkward spot. He will be able to call down Mom from here, but he's not really in the fight for what it's worth. He's looking to maybe engage with the blast cone as Corki, as now it's just flanking Corki, and there goes the Leona. Mom comes down, they're just trying to zone them away, burst down the dragon, and that they will. They take down the mountain, and now they're so close to this one. Zeka has to flash out of here. They want to take the fight afterwards, but the zoning that is coming in is pretty big, but there's the Leona into it, but the light is right on top of him. Peanut also gets away, but Viper's still in a lot of trouble, will be taken down. And T1, they're getting resets. They're looking for more. Looks like they'll only get the one kill, and the dragon is taken by Humble Life Esports.
This is a problem. They don't get the dragon. The resets don't come in all the way, and with these low health bars and being on this side of the map, there's no chance to do Baron. Maybe they rush over and start it now, but this was a great setup for Delight, knocking away the Leona. And you know after the dragon's secured, HLE want to disengage, the poke starts to come in, the Zigzal is massive, and then Viper's ulting to create space. Carrier gets this great ult, but Delight again is clutch with the disengage to stop the Leona getting on target. They still lose Viper, but that could have been so much worse if Carrier was able to get in.
A single extra kill for Faker, like, not even better. They could have ended up losing the game there. Like, T1 had a giant wave already barreling towards the bot side. They have 5 grubs, Ziggs and Tristana. But thanks to the disengage, Faker doesn't get the resets. They don't get the necessary kills. And I think that actually favors Humble, right? They set up Soul Point, only give up a kill, and they're not going to be feeling too bad about that one.
I will say, though, they do lose mid-tier 1 for that. And now you can see Guma pushing in super deep. They can move towards the Baron, have heavy control, and playing against a composition with so much poke like this, vision control is king. If T1 deny vision and just throw poke at you for the Fog of War, it's borderline unplayable. If the reverse is true at HLE of the vision control, you know, you can easily dodge a bouncing bomb thrown at you when you know where they are and they don't know where you are. And I think that mid-tier 1 is definitely an edge for T1. They still have a lot in favor of them right now, but they can't mess up again around these dragons or they give over the soul. And now Zeka with the stacks just adds to the pressure.
Has hit the stacks is going to be a really big menace, and also as long as you keep control of that Baron pit even remotely, takes away so much of what makes T1 a scary team to face. The Baron calls, I think, have taken a bit of a slower turn compared to where they used to be, say, a year ago. We still know that they are big fans of it. Mortal Reminder now done for Faker. That's a really big spike here. Zeus approaching a third item as well. They have TP and Faker in the side lane, but Hanwha Life, they're quite hard to engage on again. So much kiteback potential. And now, if T1 ever mess up and engage, and Zeka just gets to get like 3-4 extra Qs off, that can mean the end of not only this game, but the series and the opportunity for T1 to again face off against Gen G, like has happened a bunch of times in recent history.
I think they just want to pressure this Baron. TP called in, and they say, Faker, get over here. We're doing the Baron. 5 members of T1 have already started up this objective. They're looking for the turn on to Peanut, who is incredibly tanky, and Carrion now over the wall, taking damage from the Smolder. This follow-up is not there, and it's just a free Leona, and the call is not clean on the turn from T1, and they just lose their support.
I'm just not sure what the game plan there was, because you don't have the damage to burst Peanut. The follow-up wasn't in position. He has Locket as well. He is very tanky. And Carrier, once you're in, there's no way you get out again. You went over the wall. His flash is only just coming up now. And Delight, again, does a great job locking him into the play with that stun. T1, you know what they're trying to do. You know they're trying to set up an advantage around this Baron. They don't want to make a 50-50 happen around the Dragon and risk HLE getting soul, but it backfires massively. And now we see Zeka picking up the rapid fire, a really big spike.
As we're taking a look, the TP was invested right from the get-go there by Faker, so you don't even get that advantage. And Peanut, he's just not gonna die. Realistically, as you point out, they just don't have it unless everyone commits, but at that point, you are just waiting to get taken down. And if you're fighting into a choke point against the Poppy in particular, it's not gonna work as a
1v1, a little bit of help from the Ziggs, and it's just a trade. Kuma trying to help out, trying to get over there on time, but it's actually a shutdown that's given over to Zeka.
But look at the respawn timers. Zeka has TP and Faker doesn't, and the respawn is pretty close to when the Dragon spawns, so HLE, you can go with full confidence. On top of that, Zeka got a big shutdown. This is pretty favored towards HLE right now. Faker going to be off the map longer. Let's see if they can push it and create some space against this poke.
It's definitely been kind of the way it's been going. You know, T1 have the gold lead, but it feels like Hanwha Life Esports are getting these little wins, and this time around it feels bigger because this is for Mountain Soul.
They can hard force. They know Zeka is going to be up in 8 seconds. TP's available. T1, they need a miraculous steal, but I don't know if Ona can get to the pit, especially not with the light there.
That's so difficult for them. There's the TP, and it's just 4v5. What do you do except run away as Carrier? Owner thinking about getting in there, but it's not going to happen. He throws the spear, runs away. That's Mountain Soul given over to Hanwha Life Esports 29 minutes into the game.
And once again, T1 try and make a proactive play. Looks like a decent idea, but the backfire hurts them so much. The light going effective.
Oh, okay.
No.
It's about sending a message.
I was concerned for both of them.
He's tanky now, right? Mountain Soul, and the thing is, if that means an extra Nidalee Q, an extra Ziggs Q, just to burst through the shield is so hard, they're starting the Baron.
Oh, a lot of ults are down here for Hanwha Life. I don't know if that's enough, but T1 is going to try.
They're going to send it. We'll see if it works out for them. Peanut is in the pit. The Solar Flare doesn't hit anything, and it goes to Peanut. The steal comes in, and T1 might just get wiped here. They've got Doran in the front line for Hanwha. He's going to flash the wall. Down will go Faker in the execution, and even potential for the Penta. It's not going to happen, but Hanwha Life Esports, with this team fight win, take a massive lead in this game.
And T1, it felt like they were in a desperate position after losing the soul. The HLE don't hesitate at all. They move forwards and crush their hopes of the Mountain Soul. They can start to do some real damage to structures. I don't think it's a game ender, but with Baron as well, there's not going to be much left of the base after they have their way with it.
Nexus might not go down, but maybe we can call it a game ender nonetheless. The gold now gonna spike. The map control that T1 so desperately needed going to be denied. And Faker's gonna be up, Kuma's gonna be up, but I don't know how much of the base they can keep standing. And outside of an absolutely ludicrous Elder Flip situation, I don't know if this is gonna work. And this is the play that it all comes down to, where they feel like with the Ziggs they have an angle, but it doesn't end up working out.
Yep, Zeka having just enough damage and able to dodge away from the ult. And this play just felt like desperate. You see Carrier ult over the wall, assuming Peanut's there. This is not calculated, this is not set up, this is... The game is over unless we do something crazy. They do something crazy and the game is over. Unfortunately, it doesn't go their way. I understand the reason they went for it, but it just goes from bad to worse.
Yeah, after you lose the Baron, you lose the fight, it just feels like you don't really have much else left going for you. Life Esports, they are taking everything, and it was little by little they were getting wins around the map, and then finally they were able to find a really big one. And again, guys, this is for Worlds. World Seed would go over to Hanwha if they win it here, and now they've caught another one as down will go Owner. And they're looking to maybe end this one. We've seen some Red Bull Baron power plays in this one, but no 7,000 gold Red Bull Baron power plays until now.
And Hanwha full control of the map. Doran pushing in the side lane. No one that can answer him. Owner ends up going down. And Zeka just gets to press his Qs with the rapid fire. And barring a miracle, it looks like Hanwha, the heavy favorites coming in today, actually going to deliver on that, going to go up against Gen.G tomorrow and punch their ticket to Worlds.
T1 just trying to clear the waves for the time being. The wave clear's there, but it's a struggle against the Baron. 2 inhibitor towers already down, and this can just play around the rapid fire to pressure this one. Look at the damage!
Oh god, and they're gonna throw this on top of Zeka, but it's actually Faker who's in danger of going down, and now the turret will fall. It's actually an 8,200 Baron power play by the end of it all. And Hanwha Esports are knocking on the door of their seed to the finals, to Worlds. And I don't think T1 have legs to stand on anymore. We've got a 7,000 gold lead for Hanwha. In control of this game. Will they end it here is really the only last question. They're going to take every inhibitor that they can and everything that they can away from T1.
I think T1 just have to try and force something. If they lose triple inhib with Elder in 2 minutes, the game's over. But the opportunity's just not there.
And they just don't really have an angle as Peanut taking a bit of damage here, but Delight just holds up the helicopter. Keria blocks a lot, but you've already lost your inhibitor. That's a bit of damage, but at the end of the day, it's Mountain Soul.
It's just a bit. Locket is there. The rest of Hanwha just walks it off. No one is at threat. There's no follow-up. And as mentioned, without Keria's flash, how do you actually start a fight as T1? And the answer is, unfortunately for them, you don't.
Yeah, and at this point now, it's an impossible situation for T1. Triple inhibs down, Super Minion's going to be pushing in. A minute 10 until Elder. HLE make the right call, they play it safe. They're not going to risk the opportunity to close the series out, to deny T1 the finals and to punch their ticket to Worlds. So they're just going to secure Elder. If T1 contests them, they'll kill them. If T1 don't, they could even pick up the Baron as well, but I don't think it's even needed. Everything going in favor of them right now. T1 need a miracle if they're going to be able to find a way back into this game.
Well, we've seen some miracles. I don't think we're going to see one here. It just feels like it's too much, and Hanwha Esports definitely deserve this massively that they have. They're clearing out all of the vision, expecting some kind of contest on this objective. And, I mean, you've got to move through so much of this jungle to even have a chance to even see the Elder Dragon.
They'll have double Elder buff, right? You have Zeka already stacked up. Might not even wait till then, but I think Hanwha is just saying, why take a risk when you can just play for the guaranteed, we're going to get Elder, we're going to push in with the triple inhib, and we're going to get the game.
Why have one Smolder when you can have 5? Yeah! 738 stacks and Doran as well.
Yeah.
They're taking a good route, though. They're actually... I don't think they're going to make it in time. We'll see.
Hanwha can just be off.
TP as well, but yeah, it's just the turn from Hanwha, and a bit of damage comes in, but the stopwatch, the 6 damage is massive, actually, in that push, but do they have enough to take out Hanwha? Peanut has to flash away, but Viper flashes in. He's getting so low, but Zeus takes him down. Owner and Zeus, the last hope of T1, but they will not take out Zeka. That will do it. Hanwha Esports take the 3-1 victory tonight.
And we will be denied the repeat T1 Gen.G finals. HLE gonna break up the streak. They're gonna go to finals. They're gonna go to Worlds. HLE come in strong with a